Good morning, everybody. My name is Glenn Chambers. I'll be hosting this webinar today, introducing you guys, those of you who don't know, to Spike by Ike, the measuring solution for the sign industry. So we'll get started here. That's me, Glenn Chambers. I've been in the sign industry since I was in high school. I was introduced to Spike 3 years ago when I was at ISA in Las Vegas. We picked up a couple of the units and just realized right off the bat that this is a must-have tool for the sign industry. So I was using Spike in the field for 2 years before I actually joined the Ike GPS team. Doing surveys. I was using it for design. I was using it for my permit applications. And now, I'm with Ike GPS, introducing it to all the people who don't know about Spike already. We've got over 35,000 units sold nationwide. So we're really getting the word out there, and people are really seeing the value in Spike. So today's agenda, just going to talk a little bit about Spike. We're going to go a little bit over the product overview, but I really want to focus on how the sign shops and sign companies are using Spike and a lot of the benefits. And then, of course, we're going to hop into a live demo as well so you guys can see how Spike works. And then we'll save a bit of time at the end for some Q&A. So introducing Spike. Spike is a tool, like I said, we're bringing the measurements within reach. Spike was the innovative product of the year at ISA in 2016. We are very proud of that first place award we got. We shrine it right on the front desk of our office. So ISA appreciates Spike. A lot of national sign companies are on board with Spike now, and that's why we're here today, to show you guys the true value in Spike. All right, so this is the product overview. For those of you who don't know, you're going to be using your smartphone or tablet. Our Spike device, we have 2 versions. We'll get into that a little bit more in the webinar here. You download our app, and that's what makes Spike work on the mobile application. And then, of course, you can always upload to our cloud, and that's where we have our integration with a lot of the design software, such as Adobe Illustrator, Flexi, and Corel. And I'll be showing you guys a bit more about that as well in this presentation here. So one important thing, Spike is and always will be the initial site survey and estimation and now design tool as well. It's not a production tool, so if you're looking for a production tool, Spike's not going to be a great use for that. However, we are in a plus minus 1% margin of error, so the accuracy is very good. It's going to be exactly what you need to get your quote done faster, more efficient, along with your designs, permitting. We have a lot of city sign inspectors on board using Spike now because, they're not even insured to hop on a ladder to measure the sign they approved a permit for. So with Spike, you're going to be able to capture all those dimensions for your new signs or sign replacements, retrofitting LEDs, that sort of thing. It's really cutting your time in half on all your surveys. The biggest part is you're going to be out there doing those site surveys without ladders or tape measure, or even more important, getting the wheels turning on your boom trucks and bucket trucks. That's the really ROI with Spike. Is you're no longer sending out your service trucks to measure a fascia or an existing sign or a sign removal before you're even awarded the job. We've done a few case studies, and anytime the wheels turn on any service or boom trucks, you're looking at, anywhere from $150 to $300. So Spike's ROI is huge. You're getting your money back, within 2 or 3 site visits on an initial site survey. So you're going to be able to turn around all those designs and estimates faster. Like I already mentioned, I can't express how much quicker your job turnaround times are going to be. You're going to be preparing your bids and estimates. You're going to be able to measure the areas for your materials, length. You're going to be able to determine what size ladder, what size bucket truck you're going to be sending out into the field for that job. All before those, like I said, all before those wheels even turn on any service truck or boom truck. So this is how Spike works a little bit. You're going to be able to capture it from your tablet. In this case, we're showing the iPad version. You capture the photo with Spike, and you have the capability to measure from your desktop computer by uploading via our iCloud, or you can measure directly from the app in the field. That's very important sometimes because you'll have your client standing right there with you. They want to see, hey, what's a 4x8 going to look like up on my fascia there? You're going to be able to show them right there on the spot, this is exactly what a 4x8 is going to look like. Or they want to know, what size of a sign they can have. You're going to be able to measure that frontage, at grade, standing right next to them and say, yep, you have a 30-foot frontage, so you're going to be able to have a 45-square-foot sign all in real time right there on the spot with your client. They really, really appreciate the value in that, being able to have all that information right at your fingertips. Again, this is the smartphone. You can measure in the field from your smartphone as well, or at the office. You can access that photo at any time. Really important thing here, I would always, being in the industry so long, I would go up, I'd do a set of channel letters for a client up on a building. And then they would turn around, a month later and say, hey, do you guys do window vinyls? All sign companies do window vinyls. So now we have to go and make that return trip, but with Spike, we're getting rid of that altogether. So you can access that photo on our cloud or on your mobile app and pull the measurements right there instead of making that return trip back to the site to measure, the window, or if they have an extra face replacement they need done. You're going to have all that information right at your fingertips. With Spike, we have several export formulas, a lot of the industry standards that you can share with your customers, your permitting guy, your regional building department. So from the mobile app, you're able to share JPEGs, PDFs, XML files, and then the KMZ file. Really the industry standard, in my point of view, is going to be the JPEG or the PDF. That's the one I use the most when I was using Spike in the industry. And then from the cloud, we can share the PDF just like the mobile app. And then we have the URL for people who have multiple Spike Cloud accounts. You're able to share a URL code. So say I have a Spike Cloud account and my estimator has his own separate cloud account. You can cut and paste that URL from our cloud and send it directly to your estimator or designer, and he can pull that photo directly into his cloud account. And then, of course, we have our JPEGs on our cloud where you can pull just the JPEG image with the measurements and one without. And we also have a new feature here that you'll be seeing here in the next few slides. Actually, this very next slide. So we've got the new Spike scaled image. This is a really big deal to us because we were always kind of targeting the estimators, the sales reps, account execs for using Spike to just pull measurements off of the building for their signs. But now with our new scaled image, it works with Flexi, Corel, and Adobe Illustrator, and this is all available at your fingertips on our cloud. So once you're in our cloud, and I'll show you guys this in the demo, you'll have the capability to now download the scaled image beta and pull that directly into the more popular design softwares in the sign industry. The nice thing about this scaled image is it's going to flatten and de-skew it automatically, which means if you've taken that shot at any angle, say a 20-degree angle, 30-degree angle, we're pulling that angle out and making this 100% perpendicular shot, so zero angle in this photo. And what makes that image even better is we know the scale of that photo. So when you bring it into Flexi, Corel, or Adobe Illustrator in a one-to-one perspective, it's already scaled for you. So we're getting rid of the need to scale off of doors or windows or anything like that. It's all ready for you. So we're cutting out multiple steps in any design workflow process, whether you're setting the perspective on the sign to fit the picture, or you're bringing that photo into Photoshop to flatten and de-skew it in there. You're no longer going to have to do that with our new scaled image. It's a little bit what it looks like inside of Flexi for all the Flexi users out there. As I mentioned, you can import it directly into Flexi, whether you want to do file import or if you want to just click and drag. It's already one-to-one scale and flatten, ready for you guys to go ahead and design it. And, you download it. You can set it to any desired folder when you download it from our website, wherever you want to save it. It's pretty simple stuff. That's what it looks like in Corel Draw. And the nice thing about this is when you pull this from our cloud, you don't have to depend on the Spike Cloud or the Spike app anymore. You can actually pull your dimensions in Corel, Flex, or Adobe Illustrator. So your designer has everything right at his fingertips. Like, tell me the size of that door. You can just grab your dimension tool inside of any of the design software and measure that door directly inside of the design software. So no need to use our cloud or our app when you're pulling in these flat and de-skewed images. Spike's measurement accuracy. So as I already mentioned, we're at a 1% plus minus margin of error, and that's going to be, dependent on our optimal range. We want you to be a minimum of 60 to 20 feet back. We want you to be at least 6 feet back for the laser to get a good reading distance, and the optimal range is no more than 20 feet back, which, you're never really going to go outside of that when you're doing your surveys. There's a few instances where you'll have some access limitations, and Spike's still going to get you a very, very accurate estimate on the size of the fascia or the size of the sign that you're measuring. Optimal is straight on, of course, but no more than 60 degrees. We're comfortable anywhere from 0 to 60, so that's really well. I mean, especially when you have those access limitations. A lot of our customers are going to say, 10 to 80 feet away. We hear that all the time. Well, hey, I was standing, 100 feet back, and this sign was measured spot on. We hear that all the time. And your measurements are always going to be within 1 to 2 inches or better. A lot of the times it is better as long as you're using Spike correctly and you're within our optimal range. And really, how does it compare to, using a ladder or trying to measure a pole sign? I know all these sign guys out there, how many times have you tried to measure a pole sign, in the wind with a tape measure, trying to walk your tape measure up? It just doesn't work. So with Spike, you literally just point, aim, grab that Spike photo, and you have everything you need. If it's really windy, you're not going to want to stand out there and do the measurements there, so you can send it back to the office or upload it to our cloud. Your designer can pull the measurements for you, or your estimator can pull them from the cloud. You can be on to your next site survey or your next meeting with your client. And then, of course, no one really likes to count bricks. That's never any fun. And then, of course, the worst case is guessing. We've all gotten in trouble for guessing before. And then here's a little bit on how the sign industry is using Spike. Spike measures any type of sign you can possibly think of. As long as we're talking on a same plane surface, and we'll get into that a little bit more as well, but you're going to be able to measure your pylons, your channel letters, any sign type you can really think of. Vehicle wraps is a bit iffy. If you got a box trailer, a semi truck, it's going to be perfect for that. But if somebody pulls up in a Maserati and asks you to pull the measurements off his Maserati, it's not going to be great for that, because Spike is same plane dependent, so a lot of curves, a lot of angles, it's not going to be accurate on stuff like that. It's really dependent on flat, same plane surfaces. And then another really important thing is the windows, and we'll talk a bit more about this in the presentation as well. Spike is a laser, so if you aim it directly at a window, it's going to go directly through that window and measure the surface behind it, so the accuracy will not be there. So this is a slide I put together. I was using Spike to apply for permits. So in this case, I get a lot of feedback, well, what were you measuring when you were designing this pole sign? I was actually measuring the setback in this case for my permit application. So my setback was from the curb line, and I believe I had a 15-foot setback at this point with this particular sign. So I was able to measure that setback and use my Spike file for my permit application. So really in the field, it's going to allow you to do just you're not going to believe how fast you're going to be doing your site survey. We kind of invented the term, the drive-by survey, where, I always took the initiative and still got out of my vehicle, but you technically don't. You can roll down your window, snap your photo, and you're off to your next survey. You're heading back to your office very, very fast. Spike is a great, excellent customer engagement tool. It's showing you that you're on the cutting edge of the technology industry. So a lot of your clients are going to appreciate you using Spike. They're going to see, wow, that thing's awesome. I think I've had at least 2 or 3 people say, I want a Spike, and they went and bought their own Spike. Don't know what they were using them for, but anybody can appreciate using Spike to pull measurements off of any type of structure with a flat surface or same plane. The installation team is going to be able to conduct their final surveys. It's going to be great for locating electrical feeds. You'll be able to judge the distance. So you're removing a sign, so you're removing a 10-foot sign, you're installing a 5-foot sign. Well, you have an electrical feed. You're going to be able to measure the distance from point A to point B being that electrical feed, so you'll know how much conduit or what, how close you're going to want to get that sign without offsetting it from the fascia. It's going to be really great for stuff like that. And then, you know, of course, at the office, a lot of stuff we've already kind of mentioned here. You're going to be calculating those quotes for your customers a lot faster. They're going to be appreciating, you know, sign company A has already got their quote and design to me. It's day 2. I don't even have, you know, a design from sign company B. They're not even on design phase yet. I mean, you've already got all that information because you have such a faster turnaround time using Spike. And that's where we're using the photo to create that mock-up for the customer. And then, you know, like we've already talked about the permit application, you're going to be able to include that photo measurement for your permit application. I have a good friend down here in Colorado Springs. He's doing a sign audit for billboards. And he's like, I got to get me a Spike. We got a Spike. He's been out. He's like, I was literally measuring 4 billboards a day, and I can do up to 20 now using my Spike, and my accuracy is much better than me trying to guess how big a billboard is. Even though a lot of them are kind of standard sizes, you have a few that are off here and there. And like we've already talked about, you know, the repeat customers that need additional signage, you're going to have all that information, so you're not making that second trip out there to pull measurements that you did not get in the first initial survey. Some of Spike's top benefits, you know, the typical ROI, you know, it's about 3 to 5 uses. You know, you're going to be getting that. The big ROI is not sending out your boom trucks, because that's where the money is really lost. You know, sending those boom trucks out, you're paying your journeyman or your service guy or your field tech to go out and pull these measurements, and you got your mileage on your boom truck. Boom trucks are very expensive to use, and that's where biggest ROI is going to come in with Spike. You're going to be increasing your revenue. You're going to be able to take on more complex bids because you're going to have more time to sit down and focus on these bids. Excuse me. Saving time, you're going to be reducing the measurement time literally from days and hours to minutes. All that stuff is right there. Whether you're using our cloud or you're using our app, it's all right there at your fingertips, a whole lot faster. So those quotes are going to just be turning around, you know. And it really depends on the workload at your sign company. It really just depends on, you know, how much stuff you got going on there. But using Spike, that workload's going to be a lot less heavy, if you know what I mean, because you have everything you need in one Spike file. And professionalism, you're bringing value to your customers, you're increasing your customers' confidence, and you're going to stand out from your competitors because you're showing them you're on the leading edge of technology in the sign industry. You don't know how many people actually appreciate that, being the clients purchasing a sign from you. And you're going to cut those costs by, you know, more than 50% without measuring with the expensive equipment and labor, you know, going back to the boom trucks or spending time to unload your ladders. And, you know, if the weather's bad, you know, you're going to still be able to get your Spike photo, you know, if it's, you know, a bad day outside, whether it's storming, crazy windy, Spike's going to, you know, really revolutionize that for you. And we have some customer success stories. You know, this is all available on our website. I won't go through and read this, but this was Ryan from Yesco. He's a branch manager for the St. George, Utah location. Yesco's huge on using Spike. They really found the value in Spike right away. So go ahead and check out our website if you guys get a chance. He's been using Spike for a very, very long time, and it's paid for itself several times over. I think they're up to 13 Spikes just at the corporate branch right now. All right, now we're going to hop into a demo. So we'll start with this one right here. All right, so this is what the Spike application looks like. You're going to go to the Google Android store. You're just going to type Google Android or the Apple iOS App Store as well. You're just going to type in Spike by Ike. It'll pop right up. You download it. And then you're going to attach your Spike device. And from here, it should automatically connect. Here, let me rewind just to here. Here, you'll see it says device connected. Your Spike should automatically connect. But if for some reason your Spike does not connect, you can go in and connect the device through there. And from there, you're going to open up your photo measure. And you can see it's actually showing you the distance between yourself and the object. In this case, we're measuring a low profile sign here. This was one of my signs I did here in Colorado Springs. So we're 28 feet 1 inches, and that's how we're pulling our scale. and then it's going to automatically pop up the alignment rectangle. This is a very, very important step. What we're doing here is we're matching 4 square corners, rectangle corners, to set any alignment or any perspective on that photo. And that goes back to that new scaled image. That's kind of how that magic works, is this feature right here, this alignment. We're just setting the perspective of the photograph. As you can see, it actually zooms in, so you can really dial in on the corners. You can see that in the top left there, how it's dialing in on those corners. And then from there, you can start pulling measurements. I just hit next, and it automatically pull up your area tool. I'm going to lock the rectangle so I'm not dragging each individual node. And you can see you're getting your overall height, you're getting your overall length, you're pulling your square footage even off of the sign cabinet. And if you're just doing a face replacement, you can just go ahead and add another cutout to your file here, and it's going to give you the same information as the area tool, your overall height, your overall length, along with the square footage. And if you have different shapes, such as the top cabinet here, all you have to do is I'm going to unlock the rectangle ratio here, and then you can move each node around individually. This is great for different shapes, such as stars. You know, if you have like a site radius, we don't have a radius tool yet, but we're working on new features such as a radius tool, a circle tool, but you can still get your square footage off of a radius by just adding more nodes, clicking the plus button, and you can add as many nodes as you want to create different shapes. And then we have our length tool. This is a one-line measurement. This is going to be great for overall heights, overall lengths. Going back to that, applying for a permit, this is ideal. This is perfect for measuring the frontage of a building to apply for a permit. You know, I know in Colorado, a lot of it is the overall length of a frontage multiplied by 1.5, and that's how you get your sign allotment, is based off of that measurement. And then you just click Save. And then from there, I'm going to click on Details here. This is going to have all your information you need. It's going to show your cutouts, all your measurements, your target distance. This is where the target was, where you were standing, and then the actual longitude, the latitude from where you were standing with your phone, along with the target location. So you're getting all this information as to where the sign is located. It's even giving you your altitude. So a whole lot more information than we sign guys need, but it's there when you need it. All right, and then from there, these are our export formulas. Oops, sorry. So as you can see, this is we're on the application here, so this is the mobile device. These are our export formulas from our mobile devices. It's the PDF, the spike file, the KMZ file, the photo, and then of course the more important one in my point of view is the upload to cloud button, and that's where you're going to upload it to the cloud. I'll show you how to set up a cloud account when we go into the cloud demo, but you'll just sign in under the settings tab on the home screen of this application, and that's how you're going to be able to push it directly to the cloud. All right, so from there, these are the folders. This is a really, really nice feature. So you can actually create folders per job site. So if you have multiple job sites you're going to in one day, you can create a folder per job site. So in this case, this sign was out on InterQuest, and it really keeps your Spike Cloud and your Spike applications organized. Your folders, you know, so you're surveying multiple Walmarts, you can create a folder per Walmart location, and then you can upload that directly to the cloud with that folder name. And that is the photo measure. So from there, we're going to hop into the point-to-point. So I know I've been speaking a lot about the same plane dependency when using Spike. When using point-to-point, and I'll show you where it's located on the app, it's not based on that same plane measurement. So this is going to be great for measuring pole signs or access to a building. If you need to know how much width you have, is your boom truck, is your service truck going to fit inside of a location next to the building, or it's literally the measurement between a point A and a point B, which is what you'll see here. So you're going to open up your Spike app just like we did with the photo measure, but in this time we're going to click on New Point-to-Point. Going to connect to the device here real quick. All right. right, and we are all set. So you can see this red box here. This red box is just showing you that spike is not ready. So with point-to-point, we're actually utilizing the gyroscopic sensor inside of your smartphone or tablet. So as soon as this box turns green, that lets you know that spike is ready. And you can see it's asking you to capture point A. So as soon as that box turns green, I'm going to snap my shutter button, and I'm going to slowly rotate my device up. And then I'm going to capture point B. And from there, you can see it's going to give you the distance between point A and point B in both horizontal and vertical distance. And again, way more information than us sign guys need, but it's also going to give you the as angle and as a percentage as well. Very nice feature to have when using measuring pole signs or access points for your service or bucket trucks, boom trucks. And then you can, of course, save these in the folders just like you can with the photo measure. All right, and let's hop into a cloud demo here. So to access our cloud, you're just going to go directly to our website. It's ikegps.com. You're going to click on customer login here. It's going to pop up the two things we have in our portfolio, which is Spike, and then our utilities device is Ike4. You're going to click on Spike. And once you set up a username and password, it's automatically going to log you in. But your first time around, it's going to ask you to set up a username and password, which is just your email or your email and a password. You do it once and you're good to go. I always click save username and password so I don't have to re-enter it. And this is going to show all your folders. Both you can upload your folders directly from your app onto the cloud. So we're going to scroll down here and we'll show you guys how this works. Let's see, let's find a good one. All right, perfect. Here we go. Okay, so all the same features that you have on the mobile app, you're going to have on the cloud as well. So this is the alignment. This is that very important step. As I mentioned before, this is how that scaled flattened image works for all the design software out there. So all you do is, in this case, I'm going to match these 4 windows here because I know this is a good solid 4 corners I can work with here. And again, you can see it zooms in the corners, so you can dial in on those corners, setting this perspective or this angle of this photo. There we go. And from there, you're good to go. You're just going to click on measure, and I can start pulling measurements. So if I was going to, say, retrofit this sign with some LEDs, I can just grab my area tool, zoom in here, and I apologize, I am in meters here. You can adjust that. I'm assuming we're going to want to use feet or inches here in the United States. So you just click on preferences, and you click over to feet and inches, and we update that, and there you go. And we still have our lock rectangle ratio on. So we have 1 foot 5 inch channel letters here. And you can add as many cutouts as you would like. So you just wanted to measure bank here. I'm going to give you that information just by clicking on the cutout tool. You can add as many as you want. You just wanted to measure this N, and you're good to go. Here, let's make it so it's 1 foot 5. There we go. Perfect. And then we still have our length tool on the cloud as well. Again, this goes back to measuring a frontage for a permit application. You're just going to click on length, and it's going to provide you with a 1-line measurement from point A to point B, just like that. Very, very useful in permit applications. In this case, this spike photo is going to be great for a retrofit of LEDs, or if you're pulling them down, you know how big they are. You're going to need to know what size trailer to bring with to fit the old sign, that sort of thing. And then when you're done with your spike plot, you're just going to click on report. You can download this directly. You can also zoom in just like this, and it's going to print it that way as well. So you can really zoom in on different areas of your file, which is really nice. It's a really nice feature. And then we're going to hop into the download portion here. This is where you get your scaled image. So you can see we have our 3 features here. We have our measurements, our image with measurements, which these are all going to be JPEG. We have our image only, and now we have the scaled image. Says beta, We're very happy with the results. We just don't have final release, but this is all free to use for you guys to use as of right now. So please use it, and we love hearing feedback for all you Flexi, Corel, Illustrator users out there. We'd love to hear what people think of our new feature. And you just download it. So in this case, I'll download that one. And then I'm also going to download the original photo as well. And I'll hop in there and show you guys the difference here in a second. But one last thing on our cloud I wanted to share with you is the share URL. This is where you share files with multiple Spike Cloud users. So all you're going to do is you're going to cut and paste this link here, and you can email it to your estimator or your designer, or say you have another company in, you have one in Texas and one in California. You can share these Spike files by using this code, and they just download it directly into their Spike Cloud account. So real quick here, we're going to show you the difference between these two files. So this was the original, and this is the new file. Oops, go back here. So you can see the original has that angle, and with the new beta feature, this de-skewed image, we have taken all angle out of this photograph. Very, very useful when you are designing. I cannot express how useful this image is for a designer. All right, so we're going to hop back into here. All right, how we're going to use Spike in 3 phases. Obviously, we're going to attach Spike to your smartphone or tablet case, and then we launch the app. There's a calibrate laser in the settings field. This is really important for using point-to-point, where you're measuring point A to point B. Not super important for the photo measure, but we still recommend doing it just for people who are going to be using point-to-point. And then obviously you're going to be pointing your laser. We're moving on to phase 2 here. You're going to point the laser on the surface you want to measure, and we'll show you a bit more about that here as well. Make sure you're aiming your Spike device. As you can see in the demo, the application has crosshairs in it, so you're going to point it directly at the object you want to measure. And then you snap your photo, of course, and now you can measure your photo now or later via the app or cloud. Uploading photos through the app is how you're going to be doing it through the cloud. And then you're going to have all your export and shares on the app in the cloud. Very important step, going back to that alignment rectangle. That's how all the magic works with Spike, both in the flattened and de-skewed image, along with all of our accuracy and measurements as well. You're going to be able to draw the measurements, import into Illustrator or Corel and Flexi. Like I said, you can pull the measurements inside of the design software. You do not have to use our application, or you do not have to use our cloud. You can do all that stuff within the design software, so very, very useful. And like I showed you, you can measure in feet, inches. If you want to measure in centimeters, we have all those features ready for you in the settings tab. And then back to our export formulas, PDF, JPEG, and the URL. Those are the most useful ones in the sign industry. This is kind of the science behind Spike. It's kind of a fun little slide. So the technical term for Spike is called photogrammetry. It's the science of making measurements from photographs. Spike is a laser rangefinder. We're using that to provide distance, and that's what allows us to set scale in photographs. And the scale and angles are used to produce an accurate measurement. That's how we're getting our accuracy. And honestly, the technology industry, the smartphones, the tablets, the cameras are phenomenal in them. So they're only helping us out with, the better cameras they're putting in the devices. We're going to get better accuracy. That's why we can get a plus minus 1% margin of error on our accuracy. And then, of course, back to that alignment rectangle, very important step. That's correcting any angles. That's setting any perspectives in that photo. And, of course, we're using the known camera in the device. So whether you have an Android or you have an iPhone, we're using the actual camera inside of that device. And how to purchase Spike. So Spike costs $4.99 out the door. Our software is included, the app and the cloud. No additional cost for all base levels. Spike comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. This is going to allow you to, I like to kick the tires, giving you time to test Spike on several of your surveys. If for some reason Spike isn't working out for you, just let Greg at Earl Mich know. And also, contact Greg at Earl Mich to purchase your Spike, and he'll get you all set up. and you can learn more. Just go to our website. Our website is filled with tons of useful information. So check out our website. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to Greg or myself. I'll be more than happy.
Great. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you again to Greg McKay from Earl Mich. And have a great afternoon. Thanks again.